educate voters on their rights to vote and the way to vote, that, Mr. Speaker, there must be peace in order for a good election or a fair and free election to happen. And, Mr. Speaker, then that raises the emerging issue of goons and attacks against politicians and other Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. And it cannot be a coincidence, Mr. Speaker. The attack on Senator Osotsi, for example, cannot be a coincidence, Mr. Speaker, because there have been other attacks against politicians, and I have also been a victim. Mr. Speaker, I was in Metima Church with the second deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, when an attack happened, and it was perpetrated by people who had been ferried by a police vehicle, Mr. Speaker. And nothing has been done up to this point, Mr. Speaker. We have suffered the same fate. The other pattern that is so clear, Mr. Speaker, is that any time a leader is removed from their office, then what is following is physical assault or attack on them. And, Mr. Speaker, I say that because when Rigathi Gachagua was impeached by this House, it did not end there. He has been followed with physical attack, Mr. Speaker, severely. It seems there is a pattern. Senator Osotsi is removed as deputy party leader of ODM, and the same thing happens. This is a pattern. It cannot be a coincidence, Mr. Speaker. And these are attacks happening in broad daylight, and no action is being taken against the offenders, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's interesting that after Senator Osotsi was attacked in Kisumu, that an image emerged on social media of PS for Interior, Remo Odomolo, with the two of the goons that attacked Senator Osotsi, Mr. Speaker. Not to forget that the same Linda Mwananchi group were almost attacked again at Kisumu International Airport, Mr. Speaker. This is a pattern that is emerging, and we cannot accept to allow our country to grow a culture of goons. Mr. Speaker, not long ago, on July 7th, there were goons walking in this city saying that they had been sent by the governor of Nairobi to protect, in their language, to Linda Gigi, Mr. Speaker, and they were walking with police alongside them. This is something that we cannot allow in this country. But, Mr. Speaker, allow me to say as I conclude, that if the attacks on Senator Osotsi were coming from ODM, and I'm not saying they were coming from there, but if they were coming from there, then ODM, which has had the support of the Luhya and the Luos, then it means that the Luhya community that has been supporting ODM then now feels threatened, Mr. Speaker, especially because...
Senator Okech.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I also want to add my voice to the statement by Senator Amida and express that it's extremely important that indeed we do look at the environment for which you're going to go to the next election. Many things have happened, dynamics have changed, populations have changed, and it's extremely important that as leaders of this country, we must be able to arrest that environment, because it's from that environment that we'll either have a stable and steady country after the elections or otherwise not. And I want to also add my voice to what we saw happening as a result of that kind of environment to our own Senator Osotsi, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I must say, Mr. Speaker, that if anybody or any speaker in terms of a senator stands in this House and trivializes this matter to be a party issue, then, Mr. Speaker, is so unfortunate. This is an issue that, Mr. Speaker, I was expecting that as a House, we would have taken even a chance to come back and have a special session on. Because, Mr. Speaker, in any nation, when a leader can be attacked, it doesn't matter who organized, it doesn't matter how it was organized, it doesn't matter who planned it, it doesn't matter who was behind it. Any leader who has been elected in any country cannot be attacked in any public space to the extent that we saw happen to Senator Osotsi and goes unnoticed. Mr. Speaker, this is a matter that I wish that this House could take seriously and stop politicking about it. Some of us, Mr. Speaker, you know, that are very serious proponent of the broad-based government. And, Mr. Speaker, I actually even agree with the decision of what the ODM party made about Senator Osotsi, in terms of if his ideology had changed and he no longer supports the majority decision of what the leadership of ODM wants, then in fact, it is honorable for him to actually relinquish his duty of leading that faction that is the largest. But that said, Mr. Speaker, being attacked is a whole different equation. That's why personally I did go to the hospital to see him. I did issue a press statement in the hospital, even with other factions that I don't necessarily align with. So, Mr. Speaker, this is not a small issue. It can happen to you. It can happen to any other senator. In fact, if you let it pass in the nose of politics, Mr. Speaker, then it means that even your own opponent in the grassroots, even national politics, can organize goons and actually maim you and injure you and even kill you in the grassroots, Mr. Speaker. So it's an issue that I wish that could give a lot more gravity. I know that under Standing Order 58, we're not supposed to be able to deal with this issue because we're not supposed to comment on it, but give us a chance, Mr. Speaker, maybe to have a special session on this issue. Apart from that, Mr. Speaker, I don't know if I have 1 minute, but I wanted to comment on the seed sovereignty statement by Senator Ledamo Lekina, Mr. Speaker. We must have data of imported seeds and what we are producing in order to give our farmers control over their local food system.
Senator Roba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our country has come of age in terms of its growth in democratic practice. Mr. Speaker, our neighbors from from Uganda, Tanzania, and across the larger East African community watch Kenya with a lot of admiration in terms of the way we practice our democracy, and they wish to emulate Kenya. Now, what has happened to our brother Osoti is a very sad situation. And if us, the political leaders, will not condemn it with the strongest words possible, in order to make sure that that democratic space and that growth we've realized is not taken back by, acts of lawlessness in terms of goons being used against individuals, then the future will look extremely, dark when we look ahead and look at the growth of the democracy versus the events that are taking shape. Mr. Speaker, it is extremely important that Kenyans, as well as the political leaders, understand that we can practice our democracy in the context of willing buyer, willing sender, rather than coercing anybody into accepting any certain, political thoughts in this country. Political parties, as well as politicians, should be able to canvass this country freely to be able to participate in political space. Mr. Speaker, I was invited recently by Senator Wambua alongside many senators, and I was the only odd one out from the Kenya Kwanza side. And Mr. Speaker, everybody was speaking very wildly against the sitting government. And when I stood up to speak, I had to really nurse the crowd and be able to even share my ideas out without being booed. There was a little bit of booing from Senator Sifuna, who was in the front line there. But otherwise, we put the point across and we managed to communicate despite the fact that we were from two different political divides. I invited my colleagues, Senator Sifuna, Eddie, and the rest, and they really hammered the sitting government in Mandera against, in a county that is politically aligned differently from theirs. But the public listened to them. Nobody booed and jeered at them. And that is the kind of democracy we want to nurture in this country, so that we're able to make sure that if I went to Kisii today and I want to put up a rally as UDM party leader, I expect to be listened.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I want to comment on the statement that my dear sister, Senator Hamida, made in regards to voter education or civic education. Mr. Speaker, it is imperative. And we as leaders here must lead that civic education. If we don't do it, the future generation will blame us for having only lined our pockets and forgotten about them. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the issue of political polarization, which is slowly creeping into this country, should actually allow divergence of opinion. My good friend, Senator Otsotsi, went to Narok, and he said, shame on you, Ledam. Did I beat him up? I had the ability to go and beat him up. But that was his view, you know. So I really want to call upon all Kenyans for us to allow divergence of opinion. I'm saddened, Mr. Speaker, when I hear that this happened to you. In fact, you should be compensated in that kitty that was introduced recently for political violence and demonstration. This is something that we